Salvete, discipulae. Hopefully everyone is doing well. It's Magister Walsh. So like we normally do with classes, we're going to start with a little prayer. So in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in caelis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Adveniat regnum tuum. Fiat voluntas tua, sicut in caelo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie. Et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. So before we begin, I just want you guys to know that what you should be doing right now is you should be watching this on a laptop or a computer, and then having this worksheet open so that we can fill it out together as you're watching. I'm going to ask you to pause it a few times. That way you can work on some things, and then we'll go over that stuff as we go. Okay? So, what we're going to be talking about today is the pluperfect tense. Now, we don't have anything like this in English that's called the pluperfect tense. Just like we have the perfect tense in Latin, which we really just call the past tense in English. So what I want to do to start is that I want to do a little bit of a review of the perfect tense, go over that timeline that we worked on a few times, and then we'll jump into what we call the pluperfect tense. So let's fill out this timeline together. And if I mess up, I am sorry. This is my first time using Explain Everything. So as we talked about, all tenses refer back to the present tense, which happens now. Everything is in reference to the present tense, so it either happens before the present tense or happens after the present tense. The next tense that we worked on last year was the imperfect tense, which was past, but still continuing. So it's an incomplete action. It started in the past, might still be going on. And then we talked about the future tense, which has not happened yet. Then last chapter, we learned about that new tense, the perfect tense, which we just call the past tense in English. And that is a little bit behind the imperfect, because the perfect tense, like we mentioned, the word perfect means completed or finished. So that's an action that happened in the past, but it's over, where an imperfect tense, as the name suggests, we said, is still continuing even though it happened in the past. Okay? The pluperfect tense uses the same stem that we used in the perfect tense. So before we start talking about it, I just want to do a little bit of review on how to find that perfect stem. So, like we said, we use the third principal part of verbs to find that stem. So what's going to happen, we're going to do a little bit of practice. So I'd like you right now to pause the video. Once you pause it, you're going to complete A through E. So all you're going to do is find the stem for each of those verbs. Then you're going to unpause it, we'll go over it together, and then we'll move on. So pause now. Okay, so now that you're unpaused, let's go over this. Amo, amare, amavi, amatus. We go to that third principal part, amavi, and we just take off the I. So the stem would be amav. For fleo, flere, flavi, flatus, simply take off the I. Our stem is flev. Excipio, excipere, excipi, exceptus. We take off the I. Stem is excep. Mitto, mittere, misi, missus. Take off the I in the third principal part. Nice short stem here, mis. And dormio, dormire, dormivi, dormitus. Take off the I, and our stem is dormiv. Okay? So, what we're going to see is that this is the same stem they're going to use for all of the tenses that are considered perfect tenses. So that's perfect, pluperfect, and then the next one we're going to do is the future perfect tense. All use the same stem. So what the heck is this pluperfect tense? It's a weird sounding tense. Essentially, it is what I like to call the super past tense, right? So the imperfect tense happened in the past, but it might still be continuing. The perfect tense happened in the past and is completed. The pluperfect tense is the past tense of the perfect tense, and that sounds kind of crazy. What it is, it's an action in the past that happened before another action in the past. So it's the super past. It's the past of the past tense. In English, the way that we translate it is we use, if you look down at this little paragraph here, the notes, I'm going to circle in red, had. That is the helping verb that we use to denote the pluperfect tense in English. So it's had. Notice, when we did the perfect tense, I told you couldn't use had because has or have talk about the perfect tense. Had, the reason I told you can't use it is because it's the only way to translate pluperfect in English. So we have to be careful. Has and have are for the perfect tense. Had is for the pluperfect tense. So I wrote a little bit of a example sentence here, which kind of helps you explain it. I had trained for months before I ran in the marathon. Now, if you look at both of those, both verbs, had trained and ran, are both past tense verbs. However, they don't happen at the same time. Even though they're both past tense, had trained had to happen before ran. It's the past tense of the past tense. So even though they're both past, one is like more past, super past compared to the other one. And that had is the way that we can tell that. Even though I ran in the past, I had trained before I ran. So that's how we translate it with that had. It's easy because it's the only way that you can translate it. It's the only tense that even uses had. So if you see had, it's a dead giveaway for the pluperfect. And when you're translating it, it's the only way that you can translate it. So how do we form this thing? Oh, sorry, some technical difficulties. There we go. It's on the other side. Like I said, it's my first time using this stuff. So, the endings. You are going to love the endings because you already know these endings. The endings are just sum, essay, in the imperfect tense. You know that fun little song, Aram, Aras, Arat, Aramas, Aratus, Arant? That's it. So, the first singular ending for the pluperfect tense is Aram, and please fill this out with me as you go. The second singular ending is eras. The third singular ending, erat. First plural, eramus. Second plural, eratis. And the third plural, erant. It's exactly sum esse in the imperfect. Aram, aras, arat, aramus, aratis, erant. You do not have to memorize anything new. You already know it. Could not be easier. And all you do to form these verbs is you follow the same steps that we did before when we found those perfect stems. So you find the perfect stem, take off the I on the third principal part, and then you add these endings. So let's do one example. It's already done for us, so let's walk through it. So for peto, petere, petivi, petitus, to seek. Your first step would be to find the stem, right? So just like we did earlier, we're going to chop off that I, and we're left with petiv. Then you simply add the endings. So we have that stem petiv, and then say we want to do the first person singular. You just simply add aram, and you get Petiveram. And that translation, it's still first singular, so it's I. We said the way that we translate these into English is the helping verb had. I had sought. So if we look down, that's all we're doing here. Petive. Oh, that's not a highlighter. There we go. Petive aram. Petive eras. Petive erat. Petive eramus. Petive eratis. Petive erat. And the translations are very easy. I had sought, you had sought, he, she, it had sought, we had sought, y'all had sought, they had sought. Very easy because there's only one way to translate it in the English. It's the first time we've had that. Every other tense has had some multiple options. This is the only way to translate it, had, and then the verb. Okay? So what I'd like us to do now, or like you to do, we're going to try some on your own. So you're going to pause the video when I say so, and I'm going to ask you to conjugate these two verbs, copio, copere, cepi, coptus, and serpo, serpere, serpsi, serptus. You're going to conjugate them only in the pluperfect tense, and then in those blanks, you're also going to translate in English. So I'm going to ask you to pause now, and then we'll go over it. So 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, so let's go over this together. So the first singular, we have that interesting looking third person part, shapey. So our stem, and if you want to, you can just put it in all of them. Shape, 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 shape. Then I'm going to do it in different colors just so we can see the difference. We add shape eram, shape eras, shape erat, shape eramus, shape eratis, shape erat. Translations. I had taken, you had taken, she had taken, or you could do hear it. We had taken. Y'all had taken. And they had taken. And then for serpio, serpere, sorry, it is a regular third, not third IO. Our stem, serps, because we chopped off that I. Serps, 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 serps. And then serps eram, serps eras, serps erat, serps eramus, serps eratis, serps erant. Translations for these guys. The word serpent comes from this, for the creeper to crawl. I had crept. You had crept. She had crept. We had crept. Y'all had crept. And they had crept. Okay, so that's it. And then I'm also just going to ask you after this to do a couple things. Look at the assignment for the homework tonight. We're going to still continuously be doing vocabulary. Obviously, we don't have the quiz sheet, so we're going to be doing some other ways of assessment. I'll let you know how that's going to work. And then tonight for homework, you're also going to have a little bit more practice with these. And obviously, feel free to email me with any questions. I will be very attentive to my email. I know this is a difficult time, new territory for us, but I will always be available for emails. Okay? Excellent. Salvete discipuli et discipulae.